Senator Ron Wyden is a man who had a lot of answers. He says that the outrage over the AIG bonus scandal could have been completely avoided. He and Senator Olympia Snowe, a Republican from Maine, fought to keep a provision in the stimulus bill last February to cap bonuses at $100,000. Anything above that would be heavily taxed. The provision passed the Senate, was later deleted from the bill. Just a few minutes ago, I talked to Senator Wyden and asked him whom he thinks was to blame. Senator Wyden, thank you for joining us. We appreciate this. You directly blame the Obama administration's economic team. Why?
Well, first of all, I think they have sent some mixed messages. But it seems to me now we've got to get a bipartisan fix to this problem. I think the second time is going to be a charm. Senator Snowe and I felt we got it right in the stimulus, and it just didn't happen. Now Senator Baca, Senator Grassley, and Senator Snowe and I are going to get it done in the Senate Finance Committee. The fact of the matter is these companies and these individuals, when they got bailed out, that was their bonus. They don't need all these excessive compensation schemes. We're going to stop them.
Well, if you go back to when you were first pushing for this in the stimulus bill, you argued after the vote, the day after the vote, you argued that this should have been in back then, and you argued at the time, I believe, that this was something that needed to be addressed. So why wasn't it?
At this point, it almost resembles a murder mystery, Andrea. I know folks at home are writing that maybe the butler did it. We can't put our fingers on how it happened.
Well,
and I think one of the...
How is it possible, Senator, that there are only certain numbers of people who were in that conference, House and Senate? So what is this, some mystery ghost who came in and said, let's strip this out? Obviously, it was somebody with some clout, a senior member. Does no one on the Hill know who did it?
Andrea, you're being logical, and unfortunately, that's not the way it works sometimes in these conference committees. What I can tell you is that everybody that I talked to, and I talked to almost all the people on the Obama economic team and a variety of others, said, oh my goodness, I wasn't the one who was against it, but gosh, Ron, I think somebody else is trying to do you and Olympia wrong. And we just haven't been able to figure out who did it. And I think this is one of these classic Washington stories where it's possible to deep six the public interest and you can't even figure out who did it.
I'm not playing up to you, Senator, but we've got a news release from you back in February 12th. And you say, I am unbelievably disappointed, but I want it understood that I will be back again and again to recover for taxpayers the exorbitant Wall Street bonuses paid for with TARP money. This was the day after this got stripped out of conference. And
Senator Snowe and I have been talking almost nonstop, Andrea, and the way we feel about it, the second time is going to be a charm for bipartisanship. The fact is, this should have happened in February. There's absolutely no excuse for the Congress having rejected what Senator Snowe and I did on a bipartisan basis. We showed also that it was legal. We had a legal analysis for it. It brought in money at a time when the stimulus legislation was being considered and folks were looking for savings, and yet it didn't happen.
Well, you say it's legal, but the people at Treasury, the people in the White House, and there were people in that room. You had the budget director, you had the chief of staff, you had Summers, Geithner, all of the people, everyone involved was there during the conference. They say that it isn't legal, that contracts are contracts, that they're trying to walk it back now, that there are clawback provisions, but that contracts under the United States Constitution have to be observed. Which is it?
Andrea, I just don't agree with their view, and I think legal analysis will show that they're wrong. We presented it to them, and what the lawyers for the Congress were able to say is that if you give the companies a choice, either pay the bonuses back promptly or pay the tax, that would be constitutional. So we gave them the legal analysis. We showed them there were savings, and then we had the kind of bipartisanship that the president has correctly said is needed. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to convince the Obama economic team of the value of our amendment, and now we're finally going to get it done. Had the legislation passed in February, I want to emphasize this would have created a huge disincentive to the kind of mischief that AIG has been up to.
Now, I know you got to go, but one final question that's been really bugging me. What would have
only
happened?
One?
Only one. But what would have happened to these bonuses if they had not gotten the TARP money, if they hadn't gotten bailed out, AIG separately from the TARP? What would have happened if they hadn't gotten the money? They couldn't have paid these bonuses.
Well, again, you're just bringing some common sense to this issue. That's why taxpayers all over this country are apoplectic. They're sitting around their kitchen tables, they're talking about it in barbershops. They're saying this is taxpayer money, this is our money. Some of these high-flying masters of the universe have run the economy in the ground, and they're still giving each other bonuses. That's why this is a central question with respect to credibility, the confidence of the American people. It should have been corrected in February. Senator Snowe and I brought a bipartisan solution to the Congress back in February. Now it's going to finally get done, and unfortunately it's a little late.
Ron Wyden from the Hill, thank you very much.
Thanks
for joining us.